In September of 2023, I attended my first LARP event, and that was Empire, the UK's largest live-action roleplay event. I have been to almost every single event since, but in 2026, Empire moved from Dadford Campsite over to Steeplechase LRP Centre. I thought this would be a good opportunity to revisit Empire a little bit. You know, it's got a new campsite, maybe people are interested in coming for the first time, or maybe some of you are interested in returning after being away for a little while. So sit back, relax, and let's talk a little bit about Empire in 2026. Those of you new here, hi, my name is Rhiann. I do a lot of content revolving around LARP, video games, and all that kind of nerdy fun stuff. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, then stick around and maybe, you know, click on that cheeky subscribe button, or maybe like this video. So let's talk about Empire. What is Empire? As I said, Empire is one of the, if not the largest, LARP events here in the UK. It has awards as well, believe it or not. I can believe it. I bloody love it. It lasts 3 days with an optional 4th day if you want to camp on Thursday night before you attend the event on the Friday. And it started in Easter of 2013, so it has been running for 13 years. Crazy. It is a high fantasy genre, so think of Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, all that good stuff. And it has 10 unique nations making up the Empire. The game encourages both collaboration and conflict with external threats outside of the Empire, and sometimes conflict inside the Empire, if you're feeling a little spicy. There are 4 events every single year that correspond to the 4 different seasons. So that is winter in April, spring in June, summer in July, and autumn in September. Players can create their own characters which align with one of the 10 nations and can choose to involve themselves in a variety of things, such as large-scale battles which happen twice a weekend, magic, politics, or just being a humble merchant that rolls around and has a good time over the course of the weekend. If that sounds interesting to you, then keep on watching because we're going to go into a little bit of the logistics of Empire and the new campsite. Good morning. Happy Empire E1 2026. Woo! I'm going to be leaving in about 30 minutes. Yeah, about 25 minutes. I'm a public transport girly, so we've attempted to pack light. Apparently, word on the street is that it is very, very cold in the evenings. We've got lovely weather forecasts for the days on Friday and Saturday especially, but it seems like we are going to have like lows of 2 to 0 degrees Celsius in the evenings or like the earlier parts of the morning. Yeah, not looking forward to that. So I have had to pack like extra warmth and bits and pieces, which is really hard because like look at the blue sky. Look how blue that sky is. But the clearer the sky, the colder it usually gets typically in the evening. So yeah, we are going to start our trip over to Cambridge. Specifically, we are going to go to Waterbeach Station. So there are 2 stations that you can go to that are close to the new LARP site in Steeplechase. It is the Cambridge North Station or the Waterbeach. Cambridge North has the coach service, which we're not doing, but is very, very helpful. I've used the coach service before when they did Dadford campsite. Otherwise, Waterbeach is a little bit closer and we're going to have some friends pick us up. Also, there's taxis if people need taxis. Apparently, the taxi situation is a lot easier than Dadford because Dadford was literally sort of middle of nowhere, kind of nearest town was 30-minute drive. So, fingers crossed, if we do need a taxi, it will be simple and easy and we can just get an Uber or something. So yes, I will be back when I'm travelling and when I get to King's Cross. We're going to King's Cross to get the fast train to Cambridge, so I will keep you posted.
Turn the music off?
No. Speaking of, let's talk a little bit about the actual new campsite. So, Steeplechase LRP Centre is in Cambridge. It is 180 acres of field, which I believe is larger than the previous site at Dadford. The previous campsite did have a very lovely forested area, however, this new campsite doesn't yet, because they have planted and will continue to plant a lot of trees. So over the years, you'll be able to see more foliage sprout across the campsite.
Tree! Oh my God. Corey, it's a tree! It's a tree!
A tree.
A tree!
Currently, you can see a lot of the cars in the out-of-character parking centre, especially if you're in the back of Dawn or the back of Wintermark. It was a little bit immersion breaking, but there's really not a lot to do about it until those trees begin to grow. There is, however, more greenery than I thought. When they announced the new campsite and they announced that there was no trees, I kind of expected a completely flat, plain field. But there is a little bit of foliage and especially a lot of bushes that break up some of the different nations from one another. Previously at Dadford, they would have these main roads that had wood chips, and that would run all the way through all the different nations and beyond. This time, they don't have that. There is one main road that I found easily accessible and ran all the way from my nation in Wintermark through the Brass Coast and Highguard, and then you had this weird shrubbery section where there were paths through it, but it wasn't as noticeable. I will say, I do enjoy no wood chips. I found the wood chips so difficult to walk on. I have a dodgy knee, sometimes it dislocates, it's not fun, but the wood chips made that really, really hard, especially in the evening or when the weather was bad. I was kind of like really slow to walk. This time round, it was so much easier. However, there was different terrain to battle with this time round in the form of pollen. My nation was Wintermark, which was at the bottom left-hand side of the map, and we'll talk a little bit about how good that location is and the different locations of the other nations and how they've changed in a little bit. But for my nation, we had a lot of lovely grass. It was very easy to navigate. And speaking of navigation, let's talk a little bit about how do you get to Steeplechase LARP site. If you are driving, there is plenty of space to park in the out-of-character parking and camping area. And if you are like me and you're a public transport girly, it's actually very easy to get to via public transport. There are two train stations that are near to the campsite, which is Waterbeach and Cambridge North. Both quite accessible if you're travelling through London. I'm unsure about how accessible they are if you're not travelling from London. I'm sorry, I only know the London way. But once you get there, you can either take a short drive, less than 10 minutes in fact, to get to the site, or you can make use of their free coach service, which is still available. If you are using the coach service, that means you can get on the coach for free from Cambridge North. Cambridge North is the only station they're currently doing it from, and you can arrive on the Thursday or the Friday, and the coach will take you to the LARP Centre. However, to get back, as per usual, you will need to book to get back on the Sunday. It's still free, you just need to make sure you put your name down at the God tent before Sunday, and you'll be able to get a spot, or hopefully you'll be able to get a spot on the coach that takes you back to Cambridge North on the Sunday. So with some of that intro and logistics out the way, let's talk about the experience, because that's what you're really here for. Was it good? Is it worth going to? Is it worth going back to? Is it better than Dadford? Well, let's talk about it. As I mentioned, I travelled via public transport, and I ended up going to Waterbeach. That seemed like the better station. We had our friend Becca come pick us up from Waterbeach, and in less than 10 minutes, we were at the new Steeplechase LRP Centre for Empire. Being close to a town makes things so much easier in my opinion, not only just for the travel, but there are shops and hotels, which just makes things easier for people who aren't able to camp or don't like camping or need to pick up supplies. At the previous site at Dadford, it was about 30 minutes to get to anywhere, really, from the train stations to the shops, so a roundabout trip there and back to either of those places would have taken at least an hour. So yeah, I think the location is pretty good. Now, because we arrived on the Thursday, we did have to pay £10 extra to camp Thursday night. This is not included in your ticket, so if you buy a ticket to Empire, that only includes the Friday through to Sunday attendees and camping. If you're planning on coming from Thursday afternoon or Thursday evening, you will need to pay £10 at the gate to be able to camp there for the Thursday, just as an extra. So we drove up through Wintermark, which is very close to the entrance now, and I think this is a really good opportunity to talk about the layout of Empire now. Previously, Wintermark was all the way in the back corner, so it was easy to get to things like the built-in showers at Dadford campsite and the built-in toilets, and pretty much everything else was quite far away. We were at the back. This time round, I don't know what we did to make Profound Decisions happy, but yeah, they put us in a really good position next to pretty much everything.
We are literally here.
We're in God already.
Yeah, well God's over there. This is all the traders.
Literally, we are.
This is crazy. This is so fast. I'm used to having to go on like a 15-minute trek to get from Wintermark to here.
So when you come in, at the bottom you have all of the main amenities. Then you have Wintermark, Brass Coast and High Guard, amongst some other cool things that we'll talk about in a little bit. And then you have this sort of shrubbery area that encapsulates the rest of Anvil. It was a little bit difficult to figure out where the paths were from the bushes, because from a distance it's kind of hard to see where you can insert himself where? It's hard to find your way through the bushes to get into Anvil proper. And when you did, it was still very confusing because all the other nations are mixed up. So now Dawn and Navarre are all the way at the back, and in the middle there's a hodgepodge of like Urizen, the League, the Orcs are in there. So I didn't even find the Orcs, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't even find them. Marches, Varushka. If I've missed your nation, I'm so sorry. Insert it here, I apologise. But yeah, the rest of the nations, it kind of was like a melting pot and difficult to figure out where everything was. So it was a good job we spent Thursday evening having a little walk around trying to figure out where everything was. But heading back to Wintermark, let's talk a little bit more about the amenities that I mentioned. Now, food vendors, if you've been to Empire before, the same food vendors are there. There's a variety of different foods that cater to different dietary requirements, and there's a huge food hall, like a little tent, not little, it's big, a big food tent where you can sit down and eat your meals. There's not much change, it's the same old if you've been there before, but it is all right there, all together next to God as it previously was. Similarly for the shops, the out-of-character vendors are now all, or I think majority at least, are all in one space. And it's this big square that faces outwards, next to God. All of these places are in the same vicinity as one another. And so all of the out-of-character vendors where you can find your shops, leatherwork, trinkets, cookware, jewelry, all the bits that you might want to buy for your character, whether it is, pelts to keep you warm, cloaks to keep you warm, boots. We saw so many boots. All of those vendors are now in one handy square that is right next to God. And for toilets and showers, now at Dadford campsite there was these lovely purpose-built permanent shower blocks with permanent toilets. We currently do not have that in the new LARP site. It is porta potties and portable shower systems. I don't know if PD are looking to build permanent showers or toilets. I kind of hope they do, and it wouldn't surprise me if they did, because I just don't feel like the portable shower situation especially is great. It's doable, but we encountered a couple of issues with it over the weekend. First of all, everything's kind of on a trust system, right? You have to make sure that you clean up after yourselves, and if you don't, it's a little bit grotty. If you're camping, that's just the way it is, and that's okay for the most part, but when you've got thousands of people and there's only one set of showers because unfortunately the second set of showers broke down or the water was cold or something on the second day, I only heard that through the grapevine. So if you experienced not working showers or cold showers, let me know in the comments, because as far as I was aware there was only one set of showers working across the weekend, or at least on Friday or Saturday morning or something. We did go to try and have a shower on the Saturday night and they were pretty grim. In the mornings, people did clean up after themselves a little bit better, and I will say that the weather that weekend was really, really nice, so we didn't have to worry too much about tracking mud or being stood out in the rain for a while. But I am a little bit worried that if we get a couple of events where it's very soggy and muddy, that those showers are going to get very messy very quickly. And we'll see what happens with that. So yeah, I really hope they do build some permanent ones, but for now it's all portable. Also, there's a lovely portable toilet next to Wintermark which has a heater on the inside. That was fancy. And as usual, unfortunately, the water in the big portable toilets ran out pretty much after the first 2 days, as in Thursday, Friday. So from about Friday evening, the water it just wasn't there. They always supply hand sanitizer, which is great, but if you want fresh running water, then you'll have to go to one of the standpipes. There are plenty of standpipes around the campsite, but it is all cold water. So if you're looking to get some fresh water to clean your hands, yeah, you will have to just use the cold water in the standpipes for now. And I've mentioned it already, but let's talk about God. Not in the religious sense, but in the administrative sense. If you've not been to Empire before, God is basically your one-stop shop mainframe, the heart of the game, it's the inner guts. It's where all the people that are important live, basically. God looks and works the same as before at the campsite at Dadford. Lost and Found is there, you can pick up your character packs, the servers are there to help change your characters if you need to, and of course you've got all your general inquiries and all your other important people who actually know how the game runs, so if you need any help, you know that God is all there. It is nice to have everything all together in that one block, it is very helpful. But yeah, like I said, it felt very exclusive to Wintermark. Not complaining, but it's a nice change, I appreciate it. So we arrive at the campsite, we have a little look at our camp, we have a little look at our new position in Anvil and all these wonderful locations to eat and shower and buy things and speak to God. So we begin to settle in. Now that we've got our bearings a little bit, we unpacked and we, as usual, had a wonderful rented tent from Rent Bell Tents.
It is very, very warm. Very, very, very warm. I think I will have to take off this jumper in a little while, but yeah, we've got a lovely big tent. This is the Emperor tent, right, from Rent Bell Tents. This is the first time we've done this. It's very spacious, not sponsored, but very spacious. We've got all of like loads of baskets and stuff we've got to do on the outside. I think right now we're just going to prioritise unpacking what we can, and then we'll go into decoration mode. Yeah. This is Erin behind the camera. I don't know how close it feels like you're so close.
This time round we actually chose the Emperor tent, which is I believe their largest tent. I'm not gonna lie guys, it was quite bougie. We did a basic one, so we just had the pitch and then a couple of camp beds, and I think one of them had a mattress on just for our two friends. But if you've watched my videos before, you know that I always shout out Rent Bell Tents because I've been using them since like 2024 for almost every single event. Since E2 of 2024, myself and my group will always get at least one tent to help, because it's difficult carrying tents around, especially if you're using public transport. I've done it for 2 events. Would not go back. You couldn't pay me to go back. So if you are like me and you were interested in renting a tent, I actually have a referral code for you guys for Rent Bell Tents. The folks over there were really kind to set up a referral code for me. So if you have never rented from them before and you're looking to rent for the first time, you can pop them an email after you've ordered and tell them that I sent you using the code RianneMan. And yeah, it's just really nice that they did that. They didn't have to. I emailed them like, hey guys, I always shout you out. Is there anything that you want me to tell them? And they just went, hey, tell them you have a referral code. I was like, cool. But yeah, I can't recommend them enough. I speak about it so many times. So yeah, if you're looking to rent a tent, I definitely recommend going with Rent Bell Tents. And yeah, you can just tell them I sent you. So after we unpack and we set up, of course, we have to walk around the campsite to get our bearings. Okay, we are all set up-ish, I think. We have yet to do a big walk around, so that's what we're doing in a minute, isn't it, girls?
Yeah!
Yeah! And we're gonna go outside of Wintermark and see everything else, because there is a new grandstand that nobody's seen yet. There's like a tower, and yeah, basically everything. We've only seen so far like the out of character bits, because our camp is like literally right next to it. So yeah, and then let's go exploring. So with the new campsite layout, there is a new kind of central section for all of the main buildings in Anvil. We're talking the hub, the Senate, the tavern, the military council, the academy, the regio, the library, sodalities, magistrates, and of course a nice big ref tent are all in this central Anvil location. The only main buildings that are not located in that area are the hospital and the Hall of Worlds, both of which are located at the very top of the map near the Sentinel Gate. So again, if you are new to Empire, the Sentinel Gate is kind of the threshold between the main non-combat area of Anvil, sort of like where everybody is, and the big combat field where all of the battles, or like the main battles and some of the skirmishes over the weekend happen. Now, I do not skirmish, I do not battle, so I cannot comment on the actual battle arena slash field. I've heard mixed things personally, but if you are somebody who does combat on that field, please, I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. Like I said, I heard mixed things, but I understand that as everything that's new, there's going to be some teething issues. So of course the hospital would be close to the Sentinel Gate, and the Hall of Worlds is close to that area too, but I think the reason for that might also be logistics, because at the back of the Hall of Worlds is usually a portal where NPCs or different things kind of come from, so it kind of gives that immersion of, you know, these beings from different realms kind of coming through the Hall of Worlds, because that's the only place where mages are allowed. Like, mages are only allowed, or magicians are only allowed in the Hall of Worlds, so that's where all of like the Eternals and other magical creatures might emerge from. So I think it makes sense. It probably backs on to some sort of out of character area where the NPCs can kind of come and go from. Please, if you are an NPC player, or if you are from PD and that's incorrect, please correct me, but that's kind of my assumption, is that it's more of a logistical reason. And with the new site comes 2 new structures. We have the tower, which I believe was around previously, before my time, because I've never seen it before, and it's essentially just some nice set dressing that covers a bit of a storage cupboard, but it's nice to see that set dressing come out because there's so much potential on this site. Like, I'm so excited. And the second is the arena. Now, a part of this new campsite is that it has this grandstand with a giant sand pit, and it makes it perfect for like fighting tournaments and stuff, which happened all throughout the weekend. I missed all of them, but looking at some of the photos, it looks incredible. It looks so cinematic. So seeing that these 2 new things have featured just on the first event of Empire at the new campsite, I am really excited to see what PD do next. I mean, I believe the plan is to kind of build and install and kind of keep feeding into these structures. But yeah, I'm not sure what the exact plan for it is. I really hope that PD do plan on making some more permanent structures like the arena, and like turning some of the bigger places like, you know, the Senate and maybe rebuilding the tavern and all these wonderful places into like big set pieces, because man, that would just be so cool.
The gallows? Oh my god! It does look like gallows!
We haven't mentioned it yet actually, but I believe that this campsite is owned by PD, or at least PD have some more ownership of it as a LARP centre, because previously at Dadford it was a campsite that was used for multiple events throughout the year. This is a dedicated live action role-playing site. So with that being a permanent home for LARP events, and especially for Empire, it just gives so much more opportunity for permanent things to be created, and for this site to kind of blossom around LARP, rather than it just kind of being a campsite and LARP happens there, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens next, because there's so many things that could happen. Now, something else that we did notice whilst we were exploring the new campsite is the pollen was out to kill everybody. It was taking no prisoners. I am not sure what this particular kind of pollen or weed or what it was, but you could physically see it floating upward. You could physically see all of the pollen floating in the air, and I've never seen anything like that before. It was so potent and so visible. I'm so sorry to all the hay fever sufferers, because there was one of our friends, Siny, who suffered with hay fever a lot. Luckily in Wintermark we didn't have that, but even still she was suffering over at the back end, like furthest away from all of that pollen. Yeah, that was pretty intense, so hopefully that can be resolved at some point, because yeah, I can't imagine people camping in that area had a fun time. And so that ends our little exploration on Thursday evening, and we headed to bed.
Yay! Are you ready?
So we woke up on the Friday, and now Friday time in begins at 6 p.m. and ends at 1 a.m. on the Saturday morning.
Good morning. It is 8:30. We're all up, and yeah, we've used some of the facilities. First of all, toilets are in pretty good shape. There's some like new toilets with a nice, I don't know if this has been there before, but I never noticed it. There's this nice heater attached to the sinks in the toilet. One of the toilets has running water, the other one doesn't, but it has hand sanitizer. That is usually the case in Empire. Shower situation, very nice. They're singular showers. Hot water is hotting, but apparently the other showers don't have any hot water at the moment, so I think everybody's going to come to our showers, which is going to be interesting, so I'm glad I had that done now. But yeah, tea time. Let's go start the day.
Hello. It is almost time in. We are, what, 30-ish minutes away from time in. Obviously, we are kitted up. Everything is brilliant so far. I have to say, where Wintermark is placed is arguably the best spot. So I don't know what Wintermark have done to please PD, but thank you very much. It's been chef's kiss, lovely. The only thing that so far has been the pollen across the hedges. There's a line of hedges that split sort of Wintermark and Brass Coast, and mainly those two, and then a bit of Highguard. It splits the other nations, and the pollen is like, you can see it visibly rising. It is quite intense. So we'll see if that kind of lessens over the weekend. We'll see, but honestly everything so far has been great. The weather, surprisingly, has been holding up really well. It's sunny and warm, but it drops really quickly in the evening. So fingers crossed we get some warmer nights, but it's likely going to hit about 0 degrees, but that's fine. Yeah, not much else to talk about. We're about to hit time in, so obviously no more filming. I'm going to be totally immersed as Celine, and modern day, I was going to say modern day, no, current day Rianne will go speak to you now.
I'm not going to go into too much detail in terms of the gameplay and sort of like the specifics of the event. I'm just kind of going to keep it more generic. But if you are interested in hearing stories about each of the events, you can tune in to my Hots and Nots. So E1 2026 Hots and Nots are going to come fairly soon. So if you're interested in hearing that, then, you know, keep a little ear out. Honestly though, the first day was mainly getting to grips with things. I'm glad that we looked around the campsite and explored on the Thursday night, because when it hit evening and everything got dark on the Friday night, it was a little difficult to navigate, so it was very helpful that we ended up having a look beforehand to get our bearings. We did end up going to bed quite early, because this weekend in general the evenings were the coldest I've ever had at Empire. Very cold. I think 0 degrees, if not -1, it might have hit at one point, so very cold. If you have never been to Empire or you've never been to LARP before, I'm also going to maybe plug another video of mine, which is a recent one on how to survive LARP for the first time. So if you want to know the best way to survive the cold, then go check that out, because man, we struggled. Even with all of that, we still struggled. So let's move on to the Saturday. Saturday time in begins at 10 a.m. and time out ends at 1 a.m. on the Sunday morning. Again, it was very cold in the evening, but during the days they were so hot, so there was no in between at this event. You were either sunburnt or freezing, no in between.
It was so cold. As you can see, very quick job trying to take off the makeup last night, because trying to get into bed was so imperative. It was probably the coldest I've ever slept at Empire. Obviously nobody can control the weather. I felt like I was very prepared. It's still freezing, even with a thick sleeping bag, 2 blankets. I was in my coat as well. I had a hat, I had thermals as well as pajamas. Like, I've got 2 layers on, and I'm not sure what else to pack next time. I had a hot water bottle as well. I'm not sure what else to pack next time. It was that cold. I think it reached 0 degrees. It was very, very cold. But the day is lovely. It's gorgeous. Last night was amazing as well. I have loads to say about last night. And yeah, we're going to quickly get ready, have some breakfast, and head back to it. Day 2 in Anvil.
I haven't been since July last year, so I had a couple of people that I wanted to catch up with. I had some general shenanigans and just some catching up with a lot of friends on the Saturday. But on the Saturday night, I did attempt to view the hunkening in Dawn, which was so busy I didn't see any hunks. But oh well. I ended up in Wise Guys, which is a bar in Dawn, and ended up speaking to a couple of friends I made over at the League. I cannot remember your names, I'm so sorry. I know you were at the Jackdaws. My memory of Saturday night is not good, but I had a good time. One thing I did miss at this event was Songs and Stories in Navarre. Songs and Stories, if you've not been before, is kind of like the open mic night of Empire. Lots of people gather around a big campfire, they take it in turns to perform all of these different things. That happens, I think, every single night, so Friday and Saturday of the event, and I would be interested to go see it next event. I am interested if you went to go see it and how you found it, because Navarre is one of the nations that had trees, no longer has trees. So I'm interested to know, if you did go, how did the trees, or the lack of trees, impact you? Because it felt very naked walking through Navarre, I'm not going to lie. If you did play a Navari or an Orc character, please comment below, because I want to know how you felt, especially if you camped out of character in those places, how you felt compared to being surrounded by forests, because yeah, it was very weird. I also watched a really cool parlay on the Saturday night at midnight, and props to PD for making such an atmospheric tent in the Hall of Worlds. Wow, again, I'll talk more about that in my Hots and Nots, but yeah, it was a very cool first event to come back to. And as Saturday night drew to a close, we move on to Sunday, and now Sunday time in is at 10 AM on the Sunday morning, and time out is at 3 PM on the Sunday evening to allow people to pack down quickly and safely with enough time for everybody to try and get home at a reasonable hour. Now, leaving the campsite, there was a bit of congestion. I think that was kind of expected though, right? New campsite, new pathways, new everything. So I honestly don't think it was too bad. I mean, again, if you felt differently, let me know, but I felt like it was kind of expected, especially for the first time in a new place. I will say, let's talk about taxis, because on the Sunday, we decided that we would get a cab back to Waterbeach Station. That was very interesting. Another story for another video. However, what I will say is that we tried to get an Uber, and there are Ubers around Cambridge. However, we were not successful in ordering an Uber to the campsite on Sunday evening. So if you're looking at wanting to get a cab there and back, I would maybe recommend researching local cab companies and pre-booking your cabs just to make sure you get back to your train station or to the place that you're going to on time, and yeah, there's no surprises. Overall, I think the new campsite is really good, and I think part of that is because it just has so much potential. I know a lot of people are frustrated because they've moved and the location is different and perhaps it's more difficult or further away for you to get to. However, I will say the location is better, with it being closer to shops and hotels. Like, I heard people hoteling this time round because it was so easy to just spend 10 minutes getting to and from the campsite. You know, I kind of think that opens it up for a lot more people, especially people who have accessibility needs, or even people who just really don't like camping for whatever reason. Then they have that option available to them now that is much easier for them to do that. I think obviously there are areas that can be improved upon, right? It is the first event at the new campsite. There were always going to be teething issues. But I think the groundwork, especially like the gardening, the weeds with the pollen, trees, having those trees grow through, all of those things over the years will help improve things like blocking out the car parks and making it feel more immersive. But I think these are the sort of things that just are going to take time. Same with pathways, right? Although those pathways through the bushes into the main part of Anvil, and even the signposting. I would love to see more signposts around Anvil, like going through the different nations. You know, like in The Witcher 3, where you get the fast travel with the signposts. And I'm sorry, that is the only thing that comes to mind. I apologize if you've not played The Witcher 3, but that's the first thing that came to mind. Having some sort of permanent signpost now is an option, and I would love to see that. I would love to see that because it would help trying to figure out where the hell I am, especially for new players and especially for people kind of coming to the new campsite going, right, is this the Marches or is this Varushka? I don't quite know. I think all of these are very easy and doable fixes, and I'm sure there's loads of stuff already that PD has in mind, whether that be permanent showers or permanent structures or signposting or pathways, whatever they're thinking. I'm pretty sure they've already thought about all the things that I've already mentioned in this video, because they're just such a wonderful, creative, helpful bunch. I'm honestly just really excited to see what they do with the site next, and yeah, I'm excited to see what Empire is like this time next year, because I can imagine them doing a lot of fun, crazy things, and I'm all here for the ride. So that wraps up today's video revisiting Empire in 2026. Whether you are a new player or someone who's looking to return to Empire but were hesitant about the new campsite, I hope this has been at least a little bit helpful to give you a little bit of insight. And if you are a new player, like everybody who has an account has signed up with Empire, I also have a referral code. So if you want to get a little bit, I think, is it a discount? I'm gonna like have text come up on the screen now to like confirm whether or not you guys get a discount if you use a referral code in Empire. Either way, if you are a new player to Empire, you can use my referral code at the checkout, and if you're looking to rent a tent from Rent Bell Tents for the first time, you can also email them with my referral code after you've booked your tent to let them know that I've sent you. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and if I don't see you in my next video, I might see you in Anvil. See you later.
I feel like I'm filming them doing something illegal.
Yeah. Why are they holding a cigarette like
Yeah, there is actually.
We do have an incredibly...
Please fucking hit us.
We're having a good time.
I'm fucking ready.
I'm just gonna do a quick vloggy bit, so just ignore me.
Rianne, tell us about the new site.
Don't get embarrassing, Mum.
Rianne.
So right now, we're here on the... No, I'm kidding.